why don't we honor also the people behind the scenes, like Edith Head and costume people? Let's honor the special effects guy who did King Kong. Let's bring back all the other people in the industry for the public to meet. And that was another thing we had done. And then we did these giant tributes to stars. And my book is based on a lot of those stars coming to the festival and being honored at these giant events. And they remarkable from Spielberg on. I mean, you named it, and Sophia and Tom Cruise and all. We had some incredible people come in my life because they wanted to.
Hello and welcome to Along the Way Life's Journey. I'm your host, Carl Buccellato. And as I tell you every time that we do these shows, life is filled with meeting interesting people. People that pass your way in life that you might just pass by and never even notice. But if you stop and you talk to them, they all have a story to tell. And their story many times is inspirational and motivational and just plain entertaining. And they can bring a whole new depth to your life. They can make you be people that are greater than you are yourself. That's what happened with me. I'm a better man because of people I've met along the way over the many years of my life. Today, we're going to introduce you to a very interesting man. His name is Michael Kutza, and he's from Chicago. He's one of those West Side kids who were so impacted by movies and television, not television, pre-television, movie time, and the glorious days of Hollywood, that it impacted his entire life. Please welcome Mr. Michael. How are you today?
Hey, I'm terrific.
Good
meeting you. Good meeting you. And life is not passing us by.
No, not by a long shot. It's
God.
out there, and I guess if you're the kind of man I am, you want to grab a hold of it and live every inch of it, everything you can.
Do you know Chicago, the West Side? No,
I know Chicago. Some of the coldest days of my life have been in Chicago with the wind effect breeze.
It is wind. It's the wind, but it's been really mild this year, so I can't complain about the weather.
And I see blazoned across your shirt.
Hey, I wrote my first book, and that's the name of it.
Starstruck. Wow, that's a great title. And you're a designer also, so you created that with your Helvetica approach. I remember that from the book.
You got it, Helvetica medium.
Yeah, see, I did read the book. Okay, so you're a gentleman in your senior years of life. You look very young and robust, but I know from reading your book, you've been around a while, and you started your life.
I've been around the block. I've been around the block a while, I think is what the expression is.
Yeah, I've been around that block so many times I forgot the expression. We're both in that period of life when there are things we choose to remember to share, and other things maybe we don't want to talk about. But you have had a life filled with chasing your dream and your ambition and making it happen. Because from reading your book, I know that you always were impacted by and starstruck. You've always been completely enamored with movies and movie stars and events. And so as a result of that, and I'll leave it to you to tell how you created Chicago's first film festival and how you've been maintaining it for 50 years, where it's become the Hollywood of the Midwest. And we'll get into that and you'll talk about it. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Well, let's see. West Side, raised by Italian mother, Polish father, both doctors. Dad was a surgeon, mother was OB-GYN, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everybody's a doctor.
Yeah.
And I always joke about, I think my dog is studying to be a doctor. I got to tell you, there's no way out. So the irony, I don't know if you've seen the new Spielberg film, but the Spielberg's film about his life is so similar to
yes,
mine.
I did see it recently.
Yeah. So his only difference is he had 8mm. I was doing 16mm film. My mom was a big woman. Went to all these doctor conventions, lady doctors back in those days, it was a big deal. So she'd go to all these conventions, but she always get a camera with her, big camera, 16mm, because she was a big woman. And then she'd come back and throw the camera on the table and said, "Make this into a movie. The lady doctors are coming over Sunday." Now, okay, I learned how to make movies, and I made great little movies for them, and then I got hooked. However, as my dad said, "You're going to be a doctor, aren't you?"
Mm.
And of course, this continued. And eventually I broke their heart, and I think I killed them. I got away with murder. Not really. They helped me through the process, even though they didn't approve of it. They helped me. And after the first couple of years, my dad was, even though he's helping finance it, he'd say, "Now, this is just a passing fancy, right? You're going to become a doctor. There's no way on it, believe me."
So he
So
encouraged you, and he spot.
I studied to be a doctor.
I know you went to school to be a doctor. You started. You went to university for about a year, wasn't it? And then
Oh, I did pre-med, and then they threw me out because I was more interested in directing the musicals and the shows. I said I didn't have time for biology. I did get my degrees in biology, psychology, and all, and then design as well.
well, I'm sure you were able to use all of that,
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
psychology. When you were trying to get
Tell me.
all these
And
names bigger than yourself to do things for
and
you.
with the two parents being so dedicated to their life and their patients day and night, I only saw them on Sunday. I never really saw my folks. The dedication that they had, I truly have learned, and I am that kind of person. If I take on a project, I'm with you. I'm on all the way. And
I recognize that because there are many people that I shoot shows for, and they're all great people, and they have wonderful stories. But sometimes I have to chase them a little to do this or to do that, and almost never do I get the book before the show. It always seems to come after the show, so I have to, I have to ad lib a little bit. But I had the good fortune after chatting with you last week, you immediately downloaded a PDF to me, and it gave me, some of the background sources that I needed. Because obviously we've never met each other before, and to have a casual conversation and keep it loosely moving along, you have to know something about each other. For
right.
instance, I know that if you had an Italian mother and you had a Hungarian father, you had sausage bolognese. So
I'm a great cook, by the way.
well, that's
It's
wonderful.
funny. You had to choose sides. You got the Polish side, you got the Italian side. I chose the Italian side. I can cook like she cooked, even though she only cooked on Sunday. I only saw her on Sunday. She cooked.
But that's in the Italian's DNA. I'm Italian. I actually,
Ah,
my family comes from Sicily. So half of them say, we're not Italian, we're Sicilian. Same thing. We're Italian.
well, she comes from Bari.
Well, right across the thing there.
Yeah, where Sophia Loren made her latest film
Yeah,
in Bari.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was quite a film, actually.
yeah.
She's
So
a, she's
so
a
when it comes to
remarkable
Italy,
woman.
my God, I spent so much time in Italy, and I was even the film critic for 10 years in Rome for Il Tempo
Yeah.
newspaper. I was their American film critic. But I met every Italian director and spent time with a lot of them. I learned a lot from those guys. They're all gone now,
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
a lot of the people in your book are gone now, but
Well,
they're the kind of stars and bigger than life people that most young people in America don't understand. They
that
look
that
at
that that is
look
a
at it.
real problem, Carl.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a podcast myself with it, and I thought it's unique because I'm doing it with a young guy. He's 26. He likes movies, except he knows absolutely nothing. And I'm the old guy, so it's a combination of know it all and know nothing. And
Yeah.
if I say Fellini or Zeffirelli, he had no clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's
That's
which is a
sad.
little upsetting to me. But
It's
even if
really
I went to
sad.
if I went to a film class today at a film university, they have no clue what I'm talking about.
There are some communities that are trying to focus on uh, the what do you call it? The noir movie film where they made with the black
The film
imagery.
noir, yeah.
Yeah, noir. There are some that I live near to Boca Raton, and they have a film festival every year, and there's a section of it where they have a few of the theaters that show only noir films.
The classic,
They're
yeah, the
classic, and
classic,
they're
right?
so different. When you look at a show today, and you're overwhelmed with the super banging sound and all the
Yeah,
color and all the fast moving motion
right,
and the
right, right,
computer generated junk. You look at it, it's not entertaining to me. It's distracting. And yet you
right.
sit in a quiet theater and you watch a black and white that you realize the filmmaker, the director is subtly using the shadows and the lights and the silence to impact the drama of what he's trying to tell. You know, it's a wonderful thing to see and understand. But
Yeah.
kids don't get that. They want to see Britney Spears bounce around the stage.
Yeah, whatever happened to her? But so I worked in the earliest years with a lady named Colleen Moore, who was a silent film star.
Yeah.
And she helped me start the festival, and I learned all about the industry back then when she was only 17, 18 years old and the highest paid woman in movies.
Amazing.
The Flapper days with Clara Bow and all.
Absolutely beautiful. You have a couple of pictures of her in your book, and with your permission, we'll use them when we do this video that we're shooting right now.
So Colleen, and I used to hang out with King Vidor. Now, King Vidor was an old-time silent film director, got Oscars, but later went into sound film. And she and he were having a great romance all of their life, even though she went through 4 husbands. She always still had him in the background while he was married to his wife. You know, certain things don't change in the industry. But these kids, they were very young making movies, even Chaplin. So Colleen, at the height of her life, was 17, 18 years old. Amazing. And she's doing 4 films a year.
Unbelievable. All right. So you were a child growing up. You started doing your puppet shows. So you got a lot of attention and you enjoyed it. You liked the reaction you got from it. Then you went into doing some small short stories and short films. And then you met this magnificent woman who gave you the opportunity to take your dream and be able to dream it bigger into a festival type thing.
Right, because she had retired in Chicago after her husband died, her 3rd husband, who happened to be a partner at Merrill Lynch. So now she's a silent film star, retired, and a socialite. Okay, so she's still a widow. And I'm introduced to her and snapping her out of the widow thing and say, let's start this film event and show Chicago what the world is missing when it comes to movies and stars and directors and all. And would you help me? And she said, I gave all that up. However, a lot of these stars that I worked with come back and visit me in Chicago to see how I'm doing. So I would, at age 22, I would meet some of these stars that would come to visit Chicago. Because in the old days, you took the train to Chicago, the 20th Century Limited. Yeah. You stopped in Chicago, went to the pump room of the Ambassador East, stayed there the night, and then you took the train to continue to California for 2 days.
Right.
So they'd stop and go visit Colleen for lunch across the street from the hotel. So I would meet Myrtle Loy, and I would meet Lillian Gish, and of course King Vidor, and then the best one, of course, was Joan Crawford.
Is she the one who decided that you were too juvenile looking, so she gave you horn-rimmed glasses to wear?
From square one, she said, there's a problem. I got a problem with you. You're too young. She said, no one's going to trust a 22-year-old. So she did give me a pair of, like Harold Lloyd's, because she used to work with Harold Lloyd's glasses. And she said, from this point on, you are 27 years old. I've been 27 years. I can't tell you how old I am today because I've been lying about it all my life. It's true.
Wonderful.
It's true.
You really had, it sounds like you've had a lot of people give you a leg up and help you along the way because they liked you as an individual. But they were also, whatever other issues they had in their own life, they were compassionate people. They wanted to give you a chance.
Well, I'm not, by the way, starstruck. I'm not starstruck. I appreciate talented people and I want to honor them, directors and actors and all. They're just normal, easygoing people. You're starstruck. My audience is starstruck. I'm not a fanboy. I appreciate talent and want to explore and show it to other people. The starstruck are the audience. I have great respect.
I think that's right.
These people are quite normal until, of course, they ask me about how they have sex tonight. Could I arrange having a sexual blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's not my job, right?
Call the bartender for that. So,
yeah. So I don't know how sexy you want to get on your show.
No, not too much, please, because it is a show that has a lot of different people from different persuasions and walks of life. And I have people on here who are ministers and people on here who speak of their faith in Christ. And so we'll keep it tempered. Now, let me ask you this.
How about the Super Bowl? Did you see this great commercial for Jesus Christ?
I did.
How about that? That was fantastic.
I thought that was wonderful. There were 2 of them, one in each hand.
There were exactly 2. And what I loved about it graphically is how Jesus the us is in red. And I said, now that's a great logo.
That's right.
But I don't
Somebody
know what
thought
they,
it through, didn't they?
but what are they selling? I don't know
Well,
what,
they're selling the belief in Jesus Christ and that there
but
is
there's
a
no
life.
phone number, there's no email, there's no nothing.
Well, people have a way of knowing that if you want to know more about
Does Jesus
you
have
go
a
to a
does
book.
Jesus have a podcast I'm unaware of here?
Well, do you know there's a television show and a podcast called The Chosen, and
Okay.
it's got about 150 million followers, and it's a weekly show, and it's the life of Christ, and it's been
Okay.
going on for 3 seasons, and it's a remarkable tool to bring people into awareness about the life of Christ.
Interesting.
Remarkable tool. But
Interesting.
now I want to mention also something else. I didn't see this, but I went to my church on Sunday, and the pastor was talking about the Grammy Awards, and he said on the Grammy Awards a very interesting thing happened. They had a display of demonic followers who were putting on a demonstration of their demonic beliefs on the Grammy Awards. But on the same Grammy Award, a young man won a Grammy for his Christian music.
Interesting.
So it was the yin and the yang on the same show.
Right. You got the diversity that everybody has to keep doing
Same
back.
show.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What saddened the pastor was they got an overwhelming applause for the demonic demonstration and a very light applause for the young man who did his music, his Christian music. But he was there
Whatever.
nonetheless, and he was able to be seen by millions of people.
I'm not a Grammy guy. I'm an Oscar guy. But I wonder if people even care about the Oscars anymore. They're hardly going back to the movies, so I don't know if they care about the Oscars.
I think they stopped watching the Oscars not because of the movies, because you get the result of the Oscars on every news station anyway. I think
Yeah.
they stopped watching the Oscars because of the blatant political stance that's taken on the show itself. People
Yeah,
are
good
people are
point.
not, they take very hard stands politically, and I don't think that that's right. I don't think they should make that single-minded. There's a place for people to have their opinions, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But when you go to watch something that should be as diverse as an award show like that, where so many millions of people and those who are voting on a wide broadcast of different purposes and shows and impacts, you shouldn't stick your 2 cents in there. Leave it for somewhere else.
That's the truth. Not that I'm going to say that all actors are stupid, but what I have found, is unless you give them a script, if they have to go off script, they'll go onto these tangents because they don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Or they'd get up and smack somebody in the mouth, which they shouldn't do either.
Whatever that was all about.
What a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the film festivals, the size and the scope of them. They went on for 50 years, so I'm sure they were all quite successful. Tell us.
I stayed with it 55 years. I should have left much earlier, but when you found something, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
But I stayed on 55. The festival's going on. This will be its 58th year this year. I hope I was still around for the 60th anniversary.
Why wouldn't you be?
Hey, the way the world is, I don't know. We're shooting down these balloons. These could be more than balloons. These could be my friends from outer space. This is no way to treat an alien.
That's right.
We don't know nothing.
Well, that's the problem. We really don't know anything.
So I started the festival to search out new directors from all over the world, their first time film, their second film, and bring them to Chicago, have them honored, give them awards, have critics write about them, and help them find distribution. And some great people came along the way. In the second festival, I had Martin Scorsese. He was nobody. He's just a kid who sent a film in. And he still says, I owe my career. It started in Chicago Film Festival. And it goes on with Oliver Stone and people like that. They really did start in Chicago when I would find their first film. And the history continues that way. Even today, they still look for first and second films and expose them to the public.
Right. And I see that.
Now, remember, Chicago, you got to keep in mind, Chicago is long before there was a Sundance and a Telluride and a Toronto and a Montreal and all that. I based it on the Venice Film Festival and the Cannes Film Festival. America we didn't have anything going.
Yeah, right. And that was very innovative of you because Of course, they were a very sophisticated event in Europe, the Cannes and the Venice events.
Well, yes, they were, but the notoriety of Cannes was Bridget Bardot or someone jumping in a fountain.
Sure.
And I couldn't get, so when I came back to Chicago, uh, I had serious films, and I said, this festival, it needs some sex appeal. So I went to this photographer and I said, give me something that makes the Chicago Festival sexy. And we came up with a new logo and a lot of wet t-shirts and things like that. And Chicago became just as sexy as Cannes.
And it worked. That's the important.
And it worked. So then I could bring people in, and I started showing more Hollywood films, because if I could tempt you with the premiere of a Hollywood film, maybe you'll come see my Hungarian film, my French film, my Italian film, which you're still afraid of subtitles. So I had to get you in.
That's terrific. So there was a point that you went beyond the festivals and you got involved with people creating their own works. And it sounded to me that when I read Michael Douglas's forward on your book, it sounded like you helped him beyond the festival.
Oh, sure. What Chicago was in November, October. So I had downtime when I'm looking for movies. So I'd start working with Venice in Italy for the whole summer and choosing their films and their honor. That's why I met Charlie Chaplin, honoring Charlie. We honored George Cukor. I worked with the Berlin Festival for 12 years. Yes, I helped others do the same thing. It was very exciting for me because we had a small little budget in Chicago, but I could work with these multi-million-dollar events as if they were mine and help them. And it was a great feeling to be part of something gigantic and try to bring that feeling back to my hometown. And that,
yeah.
a lot of great people.
And it gave you the ability to work with a budget you wouldn't have had otherwise, and
Exactly.
learn how to deal with this.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Part of the changing scene in America is the change in entertainment and the change in values that go along with what people are showing. Do you have any comments about what's being produced these days and what's being shown either on television or in the movies? And
well, it's funny. In the book, I go through my transition of life. Okay, I spent, as a kid, I'd be at the neighborhood theater looking at the double features and this Flash Gordon serials, blah, blah, blah. Then television comes along and I'm hooked on television. The little black and white screen, blah, blah, blah. And there's no way to get people to the movie theaters anymore. And then the next progression came up with 3D movies that got me back. But the big change came, do you remember Cinerama?
Oh, sure.
Cinerama in the 50s brought people back to a whole new experience. So big they couldn't understand and they couldn't see it at home.
I think the first one I ever saw was How the West Was Won in cinematic.
That's near the end.
And I believe I was sitting in the theater looking at a screen from my right all the way to my left.
Yes, you have.
I was sitting too far to the center, and it was like I was in the middle of it.
Exactly. You have peripheral vision, and that was invented by Michael Todd. Michael Todd and Michael Todd Jr. did, and Michael Todd from Chicago. So Cinerama was the beginning, and then, of course, he brought it into Taddeo and then CinemaScope, and then movies got bigger and bigger, and we went back to the movie theater. Now, the irony of all of this is today we're staying home, watching streaming things on television.
Or on nobody's
going at home. Yeah, that's true, on our telephone. And not going back to the cinema. But then, of course, the pandemic was in there too. So, but I got to tell you, it's so convenient watching your movie, whether it's Elvis or whatever, at home. I need the big screen. However, I understand older people and all. It's a great convenience to have this stuff at home, and it's damn expensive to go to the movies.
Yes, it is.
I went to see the Spielberg film. Okay, Fableman, and the ticket, even senior citizen price, even though I'm 27 years old, senior citizen price, I don't know, was $12 or $15. Yeah. The pop card, a small pop card, a small Coca-Cola was $17.
Right.
And the parking lot was $19. This is just for me.
So imagine if you're a family of five, you're a couple with 3 little kids, and you want to go to the movie. There's no way you'd have to mortgage your house to go to the movie.
Exactly. It's something's got to be done about that. And I mean, imagine what it would cost to go to Disneyland with a family. You're talking taking out a loan, I think.
Incredible. A
Yeah,
couple of $100 a day per person to get
I'm
into
sure.
things.
I'm sure.
And then
Movie-
food and
So anyway, I spent a lot of money just to go see the Spielberg film
yeah. We have at
alone.
home. We have at home. My wife and I are. We love to sing, so we got a hold of a professional karaoke machine,
Oh
and it's got
God.
120,000 pieces of music in 3 languages, with 2 wireless microphones and big buffer speakers. But we plug it into an 80-inch TV on the wall. So
Wow.
when we have people come over, it's a jam fest. Everybody sings, and inevitably some woman will say, "Oh, I can't sing. No, I don't sing." And you stick the microphone in her face, and then you can't get it back.
I love
People love to
that.
participate.
That is a lot of fun. I've never heard of such a thing.
It's
I'd be
great
too
fun.
embarrassed. I'd be too embarrassed. I'm too shy to do that. But it's a great
No,
idea.
you wouldn't be if you were in my house. I think it's important for people to share communal times together. You talked about the pandemic. The world has gone into little cloisters, and they start being social to the effect where they're with each other. They're social on their phone, or they're social on their computer, but they don't
Right.
really socialize anymore. The
It's true.
the
It's true.
gems of communication and chatting and learning about each other, by sitting together and sharing a glass of wine, and looking at each other's eyes as you say something. Those are things that are lost. And
Yeah. So, along with discovering new directors, I thought it was meeting people like Colleen and King Peter, and said it's very important. Why don't we honor also the people behind the scenes, like Edith Head and costume people? Let's honor the special effects guy who did King Kong. Let's bring back all the other people in the industry for the public to meet. And that was another thing we had done. And then we did these giant tributes to stars. And my book is based on a lot of those stars coming to the festival and being honored at these giant events. And they remarkable from Spielberg on. I mean, you named it, and Sophia and Tom Cruise and all. We had some incredible people come in my life because they wanted to. It's fun. I don't know, they trusted me, I guess. And some of them had never done it before. They said, "Sure, no one's ever invited me to such a thing."
really,
Yeah.
you would think that it'd be the most logical thing in the world to invite the stars to draw attraction.
Well,
fans.
now it is. But remember, I'm talking a long time ago.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Before it was the big popular, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even when I first met Sophia and Lena Vertmuller and all the directors in LA, rather in Rome, and proposed this project to her husband, Carlo Ponti. And Lena Vertmuller, the director, said, "Well, you got to convince Carlo first, and then he'll convince Sophia." I had to meet all these various people. And Carlo said, "Well, no one's ever honored Sophia. She got an Oscar, but she never went to the Oscars. She wasn't there. And so this is all new." And then Sophia said, "I like the idea. I'll come to Chicago. It'll be fun." He said, she said, "But remember, you got to bring my 2 sons, the 2 girlfriends. You got to," and I don't even approve of those 2, she would say. Then you got to bring Lena, her secretary, and me and Carlo. You're looking into it. I said, "I don't care. To have you in a world premiere of your new film, that would be the greatest honor." And then we started planning the event. And I said to her, I'm in the California house now, her house, the ranch, rather, the ranch.
Yeah.
She lives in Geneva, Switzerland, by the way. So she was at the ranch in California. And I said, this will be a giant dinner party after the movie for maybe 500-600 people. And you're the star, and we do a tribute and everything. And you're so famous because you claim your life was built around spaghetti and spaghetti sauce. And she said, "That's true. My spaghetti is how I met Carlo." And I said, so why don't you give me the recipe of your spaghetti sauce,
You kind of.
and we will serve it that night. She said, "That's
Oh
wonderful."
no, I make my own sauce, right?
He gave me the recipe, said, "You make it, you bring it back." I went back to Chicago, had my favorite cook, a little Italian joint, said, "Make this." I go back, but not FedEx. I go back and take it and dry it, go back to the ranch. She tried it, says, "Perfect. We'll do it." This really happened.
That's wonderful.
It was funny.
She's quite a beautiful woman.
She
Used to have
she's
a, she used to have a house on the Amalfi Coast years ago in Italy,
yeah.
and it, it near Positano. There's a hotel called the Sirenus, and it looks down off the cliff to this beautiful white house that has its own beach. And local law is that was Sophia Loren's house. Nobody
Yeah.
ever said they went there, but they it was
Right.
believed that that was her house.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, she was a great, and she does her own makeup and her own hair, her own thing, so she controls the situation. And she is stunning, and she's allowed herself to look the way she looks today at 80. She's 87, 88
Looks
now.
marvelous.
She looks very good,
She looks
and
marvelous.
she's in great shape, of course.
Yeah, and you could see she's a woman who still enjoys life. You know, her spirit shows through in her. Very important.
Yeah, and,
So
her son directed that latest film, the Road Ahead or whatever it's called,
yeah,
or something ahead, Life Ahead.
yeah, life ahead. She
In
played the
Bari.
part.
Shot it in Bari.
Yeah, she played the part, I believe, of a Jewish Italian woman who took in a child from the streets.
But it's an old Simone Signoret film. She was a prostitute
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
It's a remake. It's a remake, and she did it beautifully.
Ladies and gentlemen, the book is a very fast read, and it's a good read. I encourage you to get it. Where is it available? On Amazon, I assume, but everywhere else.
Amazon.com. There really aren't any bookstores anymore. They deliver it in like a day. I have no idea how they do it.
Yeah.
Amazon.com. It's called Starstruck by Michael Kutza.
So all the information on how to reach Michael and how to get to his book and some of his background story will be in the story notes. You don't have to write them down. They're all there. And I want to thank you very much for joining our show today.
I'm honored to be with you, even though you have a
Fun.
suntan and I hate you.
Well, there are times in life we just have to bear up with things.
I'll send you some snow whenever it shows up here.
I was born in the North. I know what snow is. I lived in Florida since 1975, but I originally came from New York, and I built and ran a number of very big businesses that had me traveling all over the world and into very cold weather frequently. I've traveled millions and millions of miles.
Yeah.
And been in Chicago many times and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, when it was 60 below zero.
Of course.
I know what cold weather is, believe me.
I
And,
do.
So
Well, we really haven't had any snow this year, and it's rather warm today, but who knows what? It's only February.
that's right. You never know.
You never
Ladies
know.
and gentlemen, well, thank you for joining our show today. I'm sure you enjoyed hearing and chatting with Michael as I did. I encourage you, pick up his book, learn more about it. It's a good read. It's a very fast read. And it's an exciting read. You'll see some names in there that you'll recognize, I'm sure. And I want to remind you all, we do a new show every Wednesday morning. We bring you guests every Wednesday morning that have a story to tell, just like Michael and I do. The stories that will hopefully motivate you and stimulate you to tell your story to reach others. I know you got your own story. Everyone has their own story, and no one can tell it like you can. Please write it down, share it with your family, your friends, the people that you know in your community. Because if you don't, when it's too late, the world will lose the value of that message that you have to give. And I want to tell you what I tell you every week. It is the most important thing that I can say to any of you. I'm a big blustery guy from Brooklyn, I know, but I'm a little bit of a guy also when it comes to this. Tell somebody you love them today. It's very important. Give them a big bear hug. Let them know how important they are to you, because we are all part of the human race. When you cut your arm and you bleed, it bleeds red. It doesn't bleed any other color. Tell someone you love them today. The world needs that. Michael, I love you today.
Hey, love you too. Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Enjoyed it. Bye.
Thank you.